猫叔的电竞社。
It's just so difficult in esports, right? Because in esports, I talk to Korean players who kind of proudly tell me they've been solo queuing until 7 a.m. I'm like, okay, good on you. But at the same time, can you do it for a long term? And I get that it does boost your performance in short term, but would you say that kind of approach also helped with your longevity? Because you've been a top tier, the top tier mid laner in NA for such a long time.
Yeah, I think I talked a little bit about this in interviews and stuff, but in 2018, I pretty much tried that kind of lifestyle where I was like, well, all the Asian teams are successful and all they do is grind. And I pretty much put everything aside, friends, family, hobbies, and I just tried to maximize how many solo queue games can I get every single day and how many VODs can I watch and how much can I sacrifice sleep to the point where I'm not like losing my mind or overly tired. But it just didn't really work for me. I felt like my mood was just really based on how well we did in that scrim day or each match, and I didn't really have this calm center that I can kind of return to where I feel like I play much better. So I really respected that works for others. I saw Doinby said that he was sleeping like 4 hours because he was just up watching VODs when their team started doing poorly. It just doesn't really work for me, and that's just a process of being a professional player, right? Is experimenting with all these different things that you see other people doing and figuring out kind of what works the best for you and your body.
It's really, really glad for me to hear that you've just found a good balance between your professional life and also work and life balance. But going back to the game, again, you had such a longevity in the NA scene. And a lot of players who've been playing for a long time tell me about having to put in an extra attention or focus to stay competitive or be motivated. But what gets you up in the morning? What gets you to do solo queue? What gets you to, be excited for your next match?
I think I'm kind of lucky playing mid lane because mid lane is just a lot of fun and there's so many champions you can play. So I'm almost always excited to play solo queue and try out a new build or try out a new champion or de-recraft something. I know a lot of veterans, they don't really put in too much effort in the beginning or the middle of the season and they kind of start ramping it up for playoffs, maybe because they don't enjoy the game as much, but I just enjoy the game most of the time and I enjoy playing, and I really enjoy the feeling of the team really clicking and being on the same page and in the game, seeing the game in the same way, seeing the same opportunities at the same time and just really clicking. And that's just what I get a lot of meaning and fulfillment out of. So it's not really too hard to put in a lot of work because I just enjoy the day-to-day of being a pro player.
When I work as an interviewer for several regions, I talk to so many intense personalities. For example, I talked to Nuguri, who's just happy about every victory he has. It's yeah, I did that level 15 tower dive and I killed 3 people and I got so excited, and he just lives for this day by day game. And then on the other side, I talked to Deft, who is also working very hard on his games, but he just tells me all year long, every single game, I look towards the worlds and that's my focal point. So in between those two extremes, where would you place yourself, Bjergsen? That long-term goal of LCS or worlds or game by game basis?
I think more on the game-by-game basis, because in the past I had that vision of Worlds, but then I didn't make Worlds twice, I believe. So I was kind of okay, now I just need to take it step by step and make sure that we're doing well every week and that we can even make it to Worlds and make it to playoffs and make it to finals again. And I think also just a big focus for me has been enjoying my week-to-week life as a pro player and practice as a pro player, because it's really easy to just be sacrificing how you feel now to potentially get to Worlds, but I've noticed it really leads to burnout if I'm yeah, it's okay, I'm really miserable right now, but I'm just gonna put all these hours in and if we make Worlds, it's all gonna be worth it. I try to focus on kind of sustained enjoyment of my work and enjoyment of being in a team and being with these guys and spending time with them.
And that approach did lead you to Worlds, because again, congratulations on qualifying to 2020 Worlds. And in the broadcast interview, again, you mentioned that you wanted to see how you stack up against international mid laners. And I guess there are a lot of players around the world who is happy to see you back at Worlds. Is there like a particular team or perhaps a player, could be a mid laner, could be someone else that you are excited to face?
I think a lot of the really aggressive early game teams, like when I watched the LPL final, I would really like to just play in those games because it just looks like a lot of fun playing in those matches where they're contesting every single thing on the map and there's a lot of fights and both teams are opting into these fights and it really just comes down to strong mechanical skill. I think some of the things that I do, like picking Zilean into Lucian against C9, is just not going to work against those teams because they're going to make you fight for every little thing on the map. And a champion like Zilean is not that strong early game to really do that. So whether that's going to be in a match or a scrim, I think that's a game that I would just really enjoy playing in. And so I would like to play against those really hyper-aggressive early game teams.
Mm-hmm. I have to ask, what are some particular mid laners that you might be interested to face? Because I know there's several other mid laners. Might have quoted you like last time we talked at Biff Rivals, you mentioned BDD. In test, obviously, Knight is a very hyped up LPL player, and everyone's talking about Showmaker. And oh yeah, finally the Scrim Showmaker is showing up on stage. So if any player pops up in your mind, I'd love to hear it.
Honestly, all of those players. I think Knight has been playing really well. I watched him play Lucian, and his Lucian team fighting was a lot better than mine, and mine has really improved since watching him play. Showmaker has been playing super well this split and this year. I was really happy to see BDD playing Zilean after I played it. I haven't talked to him about it, but it's just nice seeing other people play this champion that I've been one of the only players to play for a long time. And I believe he was playing it either last split or last year as well with pretty good success. So yeah, not really one player that stands out, but I just kind of want to play against all of them, honestly.
Okay, I'll be really looking forward to 2020 Worlds, and thank you so much for this interview.